What's up guys and welcome back. Today in this video we're going to be looking at another comic book series. Today we're going to be looking at the second installment of the Bloodborne comic series titled The Healing Thirst. Now once again this is written and the art is done by the same person. This is Alice Cott and Peter Kowalinski, I think. I've probably butchered those names like I did in the last series. But yeah, it's done by the same people, so it's the same team making this series. Now this isn't a direct follow-on from the previous one. This is a series that takes place in a different part of Yharnam, focusing on a different cast of characters and a different element of the Bloodborne lore. There are 4 issues in this series again, and each of them has variant covers. So before we get into the review, I'm going to show you each of the issues and all the variant covers for all of them because I've collected the entire set. So this is the first issue of this series, which is issue 5 overall, and on the cover of this one we have what seems to be a couple of beasts fighting it out, and it's all orange and it's very a weird art style. This isn't like typically of the style of the game, but as you can see there's like 2 beasts. There's a big one up there which almost looks like it's made of fire, and then on the bottom we have more of a common, like a werewolfy type of beast which is being, looks like impaled by the one. So this is the cover A of issue 5. Now cover B of issue 5 here displays the protagonist, or one of the characters in this series, and he's down in the sewers in this cover looking at the corpse of someone who's been eviscerated by the looks of things. So this is also a very cool cover, and it gives you an image of what the story might be. Now I think cover C is probably my favourite of issue 5, and this is it. We see like a whole little laboratory sort of hospital bed sort of area where they're doing experiments or they're trying to heal someone, and here we have this corpse which is strapped down to a bed, and there's all these kind of increments around, little bottles of blood and experimental fluids and weird shit, and I really like this one because I think I do remember this area from the game. Last but not least is cover D for issue 5, and this one is basically a black and white version of cover A. Now they did this with the first series after the issue 1 ran out of print because it was so popular. When issue 2 came out, they actually brought out a black and white version of the first issue. Now if you've not seen my first series of the first run of Bloodborne comics, I will leave a link in the description below where you'll be able to see the comics, and issue 2 has the black and white version, so check that out. Now moving on to issue 6. Now this is cover A here, and what it seems to be is one huge ass beast. I'm not sure what this one's called virtually, but this one is a depiction of the beast running down like, looks like a bridge, and the whole background is covered in flames, what it looks like, and there's blood spat coming out of the beast's mouth. So this one is a cool cover, definitely a different type of art style from what you see in the books, but yeah, it's a stylized one, and yeah, it's really cool. Cover B for issue 6, I think this is my favourite one of the whole series. Not quite sure yet, but I really love the look of this one, and this one shows what looks to be just a overview view of the city of Yharnam here, and I just love the colour palettes on it. It's really dark and like purple blue hues, which you do see a lot of in this series, and I really love when they do that because it just gives it this proper gothic look, which is what this book series, game series is like, basically does to a T. So yeah, really love this cover. This is one of my favourite ones. Now cover C, this is the final one of issue 6. From now on they do only have 3 covers. The first one is the only one with 4, so this is cover C for issue 6, and also again another amazing piece of art here. We have what looks to be the doorway into the healing church, which is primarily where this story is focused. I'll get more into that into the actual review, but we have what seems to be the doorway, and it's all smashed up or it's been barricaded up, and there's just blood dripping out of the doorway. So yeah, this is really awesome. Now on to the third issue here. This is issue 7, and this is cover A, which is a very stylish pink sort of colour here, and we have what seems to be a hunter who's turned insane or turned into a beast, and he is underneath the pale blood moon here, and he just seems to have turned half into a beast, and he's got this really crazed look on his eyes. So I really like the way this one looks. It seems like every issue does have a really over stylized one, and yeah, this one's really cool. So he has his saw blade there at the bottom covered in a bit of blood. So cover A for issue 7. Next up we have cover B for issue 7 here, and this one is it looks very like Japanesey. It looks also something like of Studio Ghibli or Ghibli, however you say it, and this one has the symbol of the healing church, and there's little flower emblems on the side of it, and it looks like a bit of smoke or water or something in the background there, and above it is a huge ass beast underneath the pale blood moon. Now at first glance I thought this was some sort of dragon, but I think that's just where it looks so like Japanese. But yeah, it's a really cool piece of art here. So this is cover B for issue 7. Now we have the final cover for issue 7. This is cover C, and this one looks like it might be in the sewers of Yharnam, but in this cover particularly, the water of the sewage is actually looks to be full of blood, and there's like a floating corpse down here with his top hat floating. And there's a hand coming out of the sewer here holding up a candle, which is also very cool. Underneath the sewers it shows the cityscape above and what's going down below underneath the city of Yharnam. So it's a very cool piece of art here. So this is the final cover for issue 7. Last but not least is issue 8. Now this one only released today, so if you're watching this video today, this is brand new. The series has ended today, so I'm trying to get this review out as fast as possible. So this is cover A of issue 8. And what we have here is an image of a hunter turned beast, and it looks like he's been killed by someone or something, most probably another hunter, and he's just covered in blood and he's lying down dying. And what I really like about this one is his palm. It's just like he's got this clenched palm full of blood. I don't know if it's his own blood, if he's tried to kill himself, or who knows what's happened. He's probably killed another member of Yharnam. So really cool first cover to issue 8. Now we have cover B for issue 8, and this one depicts a beast being crucified and set on fire. I'm not sure who these people are at the bottom are, if they're citizens of Yharnam or members of the Healing Church. But it's safe to say they have somehow got this huge thing on a pike and they've crucified him. So that's a very cool piece of imagery there, which you see all over the game. When you go into the city of Old Yharnam, you find these things strung up everywhere. Now we have the final variant cover of issue 8 and the series. This is cover C. Now I've not actually looked into this one until right now really, and what we have is this really cool gothic pendulum swing, which is looks like it's attached to the ceiling. This does play a part in the story, and the below, which I'd never noticed until I'm looking at it now, is that we have all these mutated rats down in the bottom just scouring through the sewers, what it looks like. So yeah, really love this found piece of art, and yeah, like I do say, it does tie into the story a little bit. So you've seen all of the covers now, so I'm going to talk about the comic. This is going to be relatively spoiler free. I'm going to be showing some images of the comic throughout, but I will not spoil any big moments or anything that's vital to the end of each of the series or the comic issues. Obviously when you look at it, there's people who've played the games and there's people who haven't played the games, but even the people who have played the games, there's a lot of lore in this story which is deep hidden in the conversations, or even looking at the item descriptions, which you might not find. And if you would have read the first series of comics, The Death of Sleep, that one was full of mysteries and Easter eggs and stuff, and a lot of action. Now this one is a little bit more drawn back. There is some action and there is some gore, but mostly this one focuses on the mysteries of the disease and what happened in Yharnam. So it takes place when Yharnam is just starting to go to shit. I'd say there's about 3 or 4 main characters in this story. There is Alfredus, who is a scientist, and he is trying to work out what is the cause of the disease and how we can maybe prevent it or make a cure for it. And then we have, on the opposite side of the coin, we have the Healing Church. We follow a member of the Priest Brotherhood named Eugenius, I think, and he's a little bit skeptical about what's going on in the church and the people who are higher powered than him in the church, and whether their methods or motivations are for the good. So we follow those 2 characters, and then we also get a little glimpse into the characters within the church and some of the locals of Yharnam. What the main plot line is about figuring out what this disease is, where it's coming from, and how they can stop it, and what the church is up to. There's a lot of awesome gothic imagery throughout the entire book series here, and there's this double page spread in the first issue which has the huge staircase which I believe is leading up from the Healing Church, and it's just this double page spread, and it's all these blue hues, and you see all the candles and all the gothic imagery like the gargoyle type of things, and it's just a really awesome looking piece of art. If you played the game, you'll remember that place definitely. What's interesting about this story is it's something we've not seen in the game, because this is set before basically everyone is turned into a beast or a hunter. So we see people living in Yharnam and just how the progression of this disease is going throughout the city, and how people are starting to turn into beasts. And throughout the 4-issue series you do get to see this progression getting more and more prevalent as more people are dying and people are just disappearing, and just the whole change of the entire location and the people in Yharnam, you can tell it's happening. And I think that's one of the strong points of this comic series. What I also really enjoyed was the 2 characters, Alfredus and Eugenius. If I've not butchered those names, they both have different beliefs and different thoughts about what's going on, but when the 2 actually meet up, they have conflicting thoughts and conversations, and it's really interesting to see both sides of the story, with one being religious and one of them is a man of science. So we have this man of science, man of faith, kind of a battle, and they're both trying to work with each other to figure out what's actually happening in Yharnam. We get to see a little bit more about what's happening with the hunters and how they work and why they're doing what they're doing to do with the healing church, and just what's going on with all the ministrations of blood, which is a big thing in the game, which you basically have to inject yourself with a vial of blood to stop you from turning into a beast. So this comic explores why they do that, how they came to find out about this, and just where the whole infection started to come from. Now, I thought it was really interesting, and I just loved the whole lore and universe of Bloodborne, so this was definitely an interesting read. And the way the characters talk about these like revelations and how they're trying to figure out is usually done through diary journals or letters written to other people. And these letters typically were written in like a different type of handwriting style and different colours, just to let you know who was actually writing them. That was very cool. One thing I will say is that the handwriting, while being different, some of them were a little bit hard to read, and I did have to read a few passages quite a few times before I understood like what was actually going on, because some of the writing is very small, and it is like I said, very different styles of handwriting, so you do have to adjust to read what they're actually saying, which maybe that's just me, maybe I'm not so good at reading these handwriting journal manuscripts, but I was able to read them all in the end. It's just that at first glance they are a bit tough to read. Now when you think of like the priests and the church in Yharnam, you'd think this is like the people who are trying to do good, and what you find out in this comic series is not everything is what it seems, or if it was, maybe there's a corruption within the healing church which is starting to affect the way Yharnam is turning into this evil like pit of death and destruction. As I said earlier about how the story progresses, of how Yharnam starts to become worse and worse as the story goes on, it definitely hits its peak within issue 4, the final issue, because things kind of overnight just turn from bad to worse. You see a lot more gore and blood red colours, and I just love the way that they've slowly progressed it and then gave us like this final issue. And the art style totally shows that, with just like the different colour schemes and the way the moon is and just everything. And by that time people are just getting batshit crazy really. I thought it was a really strong ending to go out with, and I really look forward to what's coming next. I think I did enjoy this series a lot more than the first series, The Death of Sleep, so The Healing Thirst definitely gets a thumbs up from me. I highly recommend this series, and I think this one was probably even better than the first in my opinion. If you've not read the first one, then go ahead and check out my other series on my channel. I'll leave a link for the playlist for that below. They've already confirmed the next series. It was supposed to come out in January, but because this one got slightly pushed back a bit, it's going to be in February I think. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's something to do with the crow, which is the Eileen, the crow lady, and already I've seen some of the cover art and it looks amazing, so I'm very interested in checking out another side of Yharnam and another character of Yharnam in a comic book adaptation. So that's been my review for it. I can't praise it enough. I've really enjoyed it. There will be some other comic series being reviewed on this channel in the near future. I'm planning on doing a review for the William Gibson adaptation of the Alien 3 script, so look forward to seeing that soon, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Let me know what your favourite piece of art is, or if you've read these comics and how you enjoyed them, or did you prefer the first series. Just let me know anything about Bloodborne that you want to talk about, and I will see you guys in the next video.